idea why we know that there couldn't have been a Big Bang. Because I know there's going to be some evolutionists out there that are going to say, all you're doing is talking about it. Where's your evidence? Okay, well, here's some. The Big Bang assumes that there must have been a giant concentration of energy or matter. But we don't know of any source for such a matter. So therefore, it's unscientific to say that it existed.
Well, we do. Ever heard of the singularity? Which, given the evidence, is a reasonable assumption. Of course, we don't know what event caused the singularity to rapidly expand into space-time, nor how it came about, but we're not so arrogant as to guess.
Okay, there's a missing fuse.
Missing fuse? More irony.
What caused it? Well, we don't know. That's what they'll say. Well, in science, we don't know is not good enough. That's not reason to form a hypothesis, because you don't know. Now, evolutionists throw that at a creationist all the time and say, well, you can't say that it's God because you don't know. Well, I have reason to believe when we've got evidence that says. But
you chump, we don't know is the driving force behind all science. Contrast this to what you are proposing. We do know, and since we cannot prove it, we have to manipulate the facts to fit the picture.
Missing star formation. We can't explain that, so what do they say? Well, let's invent dark matter. Well, missing antimatter. Where is it? We can't find it. We'll invent some.
Neph, let me stop you right there. There's not a scientist in the world that knows what dark matter is. That's why it's called dark matter. It's a term to describe something which is exerting a force, but we have yet to find that something. As for antimatter, you do realize that it has actually been created in the lab, don't you? It doesn't mean that some future discovery won't find out what dark matter is. But what do you say? Yep, no surprise, a total guess. God done it. Oh, and Sporty, if you want another example, much closer to home, we have never detected magnetism, but just like dark matter, we have only detected the effects. So according to your hopelessly flawed logic, I can only assume that you must deny magnetism.
Missing time. We're at the time problem. You know that there are galaxies in the universe that are so far away that they would be older than the universe if what the Big Bang theory were true? That's not even possible.
Well, it is possible because inflation theory mathematically works. But even without that theory, the question would be, is the universe 14.5 billion years old or greater? Correct me if I'm wrong, but 6,000 years doesn't fall in between, and it's an impossible answer to that question. Isn't it about time you started producing some evidence to support your own beliefs, rather than attempting to pick holes in real science?
So, and then there's the missing mass. There simply wasn't enough mass, and evolutionist astronomers themselves will admit there is not enough mass in the universe for there to have been a singularity. So they can't find it. It's not there. Math demonstrates we just can't see it. So we have to assume something did it. So we'll invent matter and call it dark matter. Anything but a supernatural cause, you see. So we have many reasons to believe there is no Big Bang. There couldn't have been one. There's just not enough matter in the universe.
Nope. The missing mass is used to describe the current state of the universe as we observe it. In other words, it is not a problem with the singularity. Dark matter is like many other invisible forces of nature that we can detect but not see. Magnetism, gravity, subatomic forces, etc.
Now, Evan, could you talk also about the accretion disk? And you know how the problem, though, is what they say, well, a lot of evolutionists will say they believe in the scientific method, but then if you can go through the problem that they have with the planet Uranus, the way that it's rotating, I remember you were talking about that on a previous show. I found that interesting.
Shock is asking the man who plucks anti-evolution arguments out of his anus to discuss Uranus. You can't beat that for irony.
Yeah. Oh, there are many anomalies in our solar system. You see, the evolutionists believe that the solar system formed from an accretion disk, right?
Better an accretion disk than a creationist excretion discussion. Here we go again. Neph so easily ignores what has been observed. There are so many galaxies and obviously so many more star systems that scientists have the capability to observe all stages of solar systems forming, and guess what? They observe accretion disks. No, God, are gaps needed to challenge what we can see with our own eyes, or lenses.
Like a star, a former star exploded and left a remnant, our star, right? And the remnants of that explosion accreted. That means the matter's gravity itself pulled upon itself over time and formed into a flat disk. And from this disk, the various planets outstretched at different distances from the sun are what created the different, and they accreted also into the planets. Well, there's just reasons that this can't be true. For example, Dr. William A. Dembski, mathematician with, I believe, 2 PhDs, 2 master's degrees, 2 BAs, if I'm not mistaken.
2 BAs? That would make a ba very relevant for sheep. So, you will cherry-pick from somebody who doesn't even believe in a young universe.
A well-published philosopher and professional mathematician has demonstrated with mathematics that the gravitational pull of space dust is nil, which means, according to science, for all use and purposes, is nothing.
Are you sure he really means nothing? And now, of course, there's no such thing as gravity. Well, of course, of all the forces, gravity is known as the weak force, but that's only relative. So, Sporty, what are we going to call the force that keeps the Earth orbiting round the Sun? What are we going to call the force that keeps the Moon orbiting the Earth, which obviously, by sheer coincidence, controls our tides? What will we call the force that caused an apple to fall on Newton's head, as opposed to rising to the head of a seagull? What about the force that lets nothing escape from a black hole? Do you know what? I think gravity is as good a word as any, don't you? Incidentally, why would any creator cause the moon to be gradually moving away from the Earth as we know it's doing?
None. So, I mean, it theoretically has one, but it is so small it's ineffective to do anything. And so, therefore, accretion is not even possible.
Nope, again, being defined as the weak force is in relative terms and does not make gravity a weak force. Gravity can easily explain accretion disks, and an armchair pundit such as yourself has no authority to dispute this. The worrying thing here is the willful dishonesty being displayed. Like religious people throughout history, you're pandering to the gullible.